Hey everybody. Welcome to Trainwreck Wednesday and Hump Day. How are you guys doing? I'm going to wait and see if a couple people jump on and we will get started. I'm always messing with my iPad because I'm trying to figure out how to pull you guys up on my iPad as well. Hi Donna, how are you? Welcome. Welcome everybody to, first of all, for those of you who work a full-time job like I do, it is Hump Day, and that is always a good thing. So Hump Day. My name is Cassandra. I am with Pecan Porch Boutique, and tonight is Trainwreck Wednesday. And for those of you who've been watching me for a while, Trainwreck Wednesday is the name that I gave to this Wednesday Night Live, because any project that I do on Trainwreck Wednesday can easily go off the rails, or sometimes it can, hi Anna, sometimes it can stay on the rails and get to the destination. So it's Trainwreck Wednesday. I'm Cassandra. I'm with Pecan Porch Boutique, and tonight, you guys, we are going to be working on this little antique secretary right here. So I hope you guys can see that. It's kind of hard for me to, I just haven't quite gotten the hang of setting up this camera. The iPod. Hi sister, how are you? So tonight we're going to be working on this little secretary. Before we get started on that though, I want to give a shout out to one of my, last week when we we finished up the little vanity. And I sent a request to have people name it. And so I want to give a shout out to Sonia Sutton, who named the piece Trellis Rose. So that little vanity now has a name. It's Trellis Rose. Thank you, Sonia, for naming her. Your gift and your package is already in the mail. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Sonia. And we'll be actually, doing a naming party for this little piece as well. So anyway, you guys, I just kind of wanted you guys to take a look at this little piece. It is a vintage secretary. And so that's kind of the inside. It's really a really pretty piece. But y'all, I really don't, if I find a piece that's in good condition, I don't paint it. So all the pieces that I paint are pieces that, have scratches, or, usually the pieces that I paint are pieces that I've drug up from somewhere and they need help anyway. So it was the same with this piece. So anyway, this is what we're going to be working on tonight. This is going to be a peacock party, and this is part one of that party. And so my inspiration and plan, because there's always a plan, there's always a plan. My inspiration for this piece comes from this paper. You guys see this paper? From Roycycle Treasures. It's the Peacock Inferma. And there's a left peacock and a right peacock. And so my plan is to decoupage one peacock on each side of this. And so that's kind of where I got these colors from. That's why I chose those colors, is because my plan is to use this peacock paper. But that's going to be in part two. So in part two, I'm going to use this peacock paper on the side. At least that's the plan. And I am going to do some raised stenciling in part two with this peacock. Can you guys see that? It's a peacock stencil. And then I have some peacock feathers. And then hopefully I will get to use this little cardboard peacock out of my critter cutouts on it as well. So these are, the peacocks are actually coming in part 2. So, but for tonight, actually what we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing some blending. So if you guys can see that I've kind of blended a little bit here. Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can see the color kind of well. I've kind of blended in some colors here. And so what I did was I started out with a base coat of, it's actually a custom color that I mixed. So you guys, you can mix these DIY paint colors, you know, to any color you want. So I mixed up some petticoat pink, and I used a little bit of sandy blonde, and I got this kind of pink color here that you see down here. And the pink color is actually, I didn't want it to be really, really pink, and so that's why I added some of the other colors to kind of dull it down a little, give it a little bit more of a gray finish. So that's the base coat that I started with. So started with kind of a pinky color that I mixed, a custom mix, and then I added, I blended in some of this sea glass. You guys can see this sea glass. It's kind of a rich teal looking color here. I mixed in that, and then I added just a tiny bit, and that's actually all I have left, a tiny, tiny bit of this liquid sunshine. So those are the colors that I blended with. So tonight what I'm gonna do is I'm going to continue blending down here. And y'all, I'm gonna be honest, blending is a challenge for me. So I've just kind of started playing around with blending. So you're probably like, well, if you just started playing around with blending, Cassandra, why are you gonna do it on live? Because it's Trainwreck Wednesday. So so I'm gonna kind of continue blending down here, and then for the inside here, because it's a secretary, what I'm gonna do, or the plan is, we're gonna do some stamping with this stamp here, which is called the Kindest Regards stamp. This is one of my favorite stamps by Iron Orchid Design. And I figured since it's a secretary, the Kindest Regards stamp is a letter. I'm gonna use it, and we're gonna put it right here and right here. So that's what we're gonna do on the inside. So we're gonna blend first, and then hopefully we'll have enough time, and we're going to stamp, do some stamping. Okay, so, all right, here we go. So now, I've been watching a lot of people blend, and one of the things that, and everybody kind of has their own way of blending. Some people are really good enough to use one brush and blend, and then other people use multiple brushes, one for each color, and then a neutral blending brush. And to be honest with you, all that really confuses me. So I don't know how I'm gonna get to this blend, so we'll just have to see. So yeah, and I plan to do some raised stenciling, and it'll be my first time doing raised stenciling too, so that should be interesting. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna start out blending, and I am going to use, and when you're blending, you guys, you always want to have on hand a water bottle, because that is, this water and blending go hand in hand. Donna, you said, do you sand the piece down before painting? No, but thank you for asking that question, Donna. No, with DIY paint, you don't have to sand or prime or anything. But I do want to tell you guys, thank you for reminding me of that. So this piece was this kind of a dark cherry color that you see up in here all over. If you guys saw the picture of the before, this is what it looked like all over the piece. So what I've learned painting is that when you have dark pieces like this and you're painting a lighter color, you're probably going to get some bleed through. And basically what bleed through is, it's usually on the, it comes on the darker color pieces. and it's more prevalent when you're painting the darker color piece a light color. So and those are just what's called tannins, and tannins are basically the compounds that are found in plants naturally. So, and because, you know, our furniture is made out of wood, and wood used to be a tree, you know, you're going to get those tannins in here. Well, when you put moisture on it with such things like paint, those tannins can, you reactivate them, and then they can seep back through. So what I did to this piece before, I didn't sand it, but most of the times with DIY paint, you can just go right over it. You know, no problem. But because I was painting it such a light color, I went ahead and I sealed it with some shellac, the clear base shellac. I sealed the whole piece with shellac, 2 coats, so as to not to get those tannins bleeding through. And so, no, to answer your question, Donna, I did not sand it down, but I did do 2 coats of the shellac to keep it from bleeding through. And still, even with those 2 coats, there are some places, you guys probably can't see this on the camera, but there are some places where I still did get some bleed through. So, you know, but I think that's going to be okay. So, so thank you for asking that question, Donna, because I actually meant to say that. Okay, you guys. So water bottle. We're gonna start out by adding some of the sea glass, and I am going to use my Pixie Believe 12 to start getting this on here, and I'm gonna see if I can recreate this blending thing. And I'm gonna keep my custom pink mix on hand, and then I have just a tiny bit of this liquid sunshine, but it's enough to do what I want to do. So, all right, here we go. Blending 101. And so now there are a couple ways too you can blend. You can blend while the paint is wet, but this is obviously dry because I did this a couple of days ago. So so this is dry blending. So I'm going to blend the wet paint back into a paint that's already dried. So that's why I need this water bottle. So here we go. I'm going to add some of this this sea glass. And because I'm going to be blending it, I'm not adding it to, you know, complete coverage. I'm just going to add it to kind of the top and bottom edges of these drawers. And I'm painting, you guys, I'm actually painting with the drawers in, but I will go back and I will catch I'll pull the drawers out and I will catch the rims of the drawers, the edges of the drawers. So the first step in blending is just to get the paint, kind of lay the paint out where you want it. Now, it would probably be better if I were sitting on the floor, but it'll take me forever to get up, so I'm going to try to do it on this stool. Okay, so I'm going to take my water bottle now. So I've laid out my sea glass kind of where I want it, and I'm actually going to take my water bottle and give it a little spritz, and that's just so I can get some good movement with the paint, because the paint is a little bit stiff. Just because this paint is clay based, and so just giving it a little bit of spritz. And now I'm going to take another brush that's kind of already damp. You can also dampen your brush. And then I'm just going to start working it in. Working it into the pink. And again, a lot of people blend differently. You know, I'm just kind of going for it because I really, honestly, blending, like I said, blending is not my strong point. So I'm actually just kind of, you know, learning to blend. So, okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to take the brush that I actually used to put the initial pink color on, and I'm going to take that same brush. Some people will use a different brush, but I'm just going to take that same brush and I'm going to dip it into my pink mixture. I'm not going to do a lot of it. And I actually put too much water. Didn't really need that much water. But the key to the trick, or what you're looking to do when you're blending, is you are actually looking to remove those transition lines. So the line between the colors, you're actually looking to remove those. And so that's kind of why you see me going in these different directions. So I'm going straight across, but I'm also going diagonally. And I'm keeping my water bottle handy. So I can remove any of those lines between the sea glass and the pink. So that's my goal, is to make sure that I don't have any transition lines in here. And another thing I had to learn too, when you're blending, you're not supposed to push down so hard. You're supposed to kind of use a light hand when you blend. So not as heavy as it was when you were actually putting on the initial coat of paint. One of the other things that you can do too, for a piece like this that's pretty flat, that doesn't have any real you know, raised edges or anything like that, I take my brush when I'm putting on the first coat, and I kind of do a crosshatch pattern, and this gives you some real kind of some visual and some tactile texture on your piece. So for flat pieces like this, you can take your brush and do a crosshatch pattern, and it'll give you a little bit of texture. So that your piece just isn't so flat. Again, I'm just going to continue spritzing. So that I can blend in this sea glass. And again, if you can see me, I'm just kind of going in different directions just to blend out that those transition lines. And again, it would be much better if I were sitting on the floor, but I'm afraid if I sit on the floor, I won't get up. So. Okay, so I can see that right in here, I actually added too much water, so So I am going to add a little bit more sea glass here. And try to blend that in a little bit more, just so I get a little bit more of the sea glass color in there. And it's kind of interesting trying to, this little serpentine disc has these little dips in the front. And so it's kind of interesting trying to get in between there. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of the liquid sunshine, just kind of to the middle. Let's see if I can get that blended in a little. And again, I'm going to go back with the same brush that I used. And that's just to add a little bit of the yellow. Again, my inspiration is the peacock paper, the peacock Inferma. I just got a little bit of a hair from the brush. And there's still a little bit of my base coat peeking through the pink, which is okay, what I wanted. And you don't really have to start with the base coat. You can actually start the blend straight on the piece without a base coat if you want to. And so, okay, you guys, I'm going to do something I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to get on the floor for a second. Hopefully I can get up. Just so that I can kind of get down here. Where I can see that there's still some spots that are a little clumpy. want to catch those. Especially over here in this corner. And again, with blending, water is your friend. So you want to make sure you keep some water on hand. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to go back with my original pink color and tone down a little bit of that, the peacock. I'm sorry, the sea glass. And the goal is to try to get a smooth blend. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brandy from Brushed by Brandy, but she's a master blender. And of course, there's quite a few other creatives on YouTube who are just fabulous at blending. I'm trying to find my way, so. This will definitely not be to their quality, but maybe, I think the thing with anything is just to keep doing it, you know. Keep doing it. Okay, so that's not really quite where I want it, but it does have a little bit of a blend to it that matches above. I kind of would really like to have a little bit more of the original base color in places. Like over here where I feel like I have too much of the sea glass. I just go back with a little bit more of the original base color, which is my custom pink mix, and I just blend that in. And I'm just a tad bit, not much. And another thing too with blending, and I have a tendency to do this, you guys, is not to overwork the paint. Because again, you know, this is chalk paint and it's reactivated with water. So the more you spray water and the more you add paint, the more you're reactivating the paint. So you kind of have to get it to a place where you want it, and then just kind of walk away, let it dry, and then maybe take another look at it after it dries, and if you want to add some more, you can. Because as long as you're adding to it while it's wet, you're not going to see the full effect of it, or the full picture. Okay, so for now, I think I'm gonna leave that as is. I do want to come in and add a little bit more of the liquid sunshine, just because the paper has a lot of yellow in it. So, but for now, I think I'm just gonna leave it as is, and we're gonna call that blend done. Okay. All right. Let me close up my paint, because if I don't, I will knock it over. I guarantee you I will. I'm gonna put it here on the floor. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and we're going to use this kindest regards letter to do our stamp on the inside. And again, you guys, this is one of my favorite stamps. IOD makes a lot of stamps and molds. The kindest regards one, I don't know, it's one of the ones that I really truly like. So that's the one we're going to be using tonight. So if you guys can see this now, I've given it a little bit more blending color. You can see faint peaks of the liquid sunshine. I think I probably want to go back a little and kind of take away some of the sea glass and add a little bit more of the liquid sunshine. But for now, I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so for the inside of this disc, like I mentioned earlier, right here on this flat part, I'm going to use this this kindest regards stamp from Iron Orchid Design. And so just a little background on this stamp. So this stamp is said to be was written around 1863, I believe, by a gentleman named Mr. Love. And what he was he was an activist, and he was like really big on Native American land rights and the suffrage of women. And so he created this organization whereby they got together and did lectures and things like that on things that were he was really passionate about, and those are some of the things. And so the actual his actual company, or the actual little group that he founded was called the Universal Peace Union, or UPU. And so he would invite people up, to these different lectures and things to discuss these issues that he was so passionate about. And so this letter is said to have been written to one of his friends that was that he had invited up to one of the lectures, and he was telling his friend that you and your family are welcome to stay in my home, when you get here. And so at the end of the letter, he signed it, with kindest regards, my friends. So that is what this letter is. It's called the kindest regards letter. It is from Iron Orchid Design. And you guys, any of these products that you see me use, you can find them on my website at pecanporchboutique.com. Okay, so we're going to use this letter. And when I was looking at the letter, I was like, it fits really good right here. I mean, it pretty much actually gets all of the letter, right in here. So I'm going to do it 2 times. I'm going to stamp here, and I'm going to stamp here. And so this is, of course, this has been painted. I haven't sealed any of it. So I'm going to stamp first, and then once the stamp dries, then I'll come back and I will seal it all up. Okay, so we are going to be using, let's see, can you guys see my little table here? We're going to be using the IOD, or Iron Orchid Designs ink pads, and they're decor ink. And so because my inspiration is this really beautiful, let's see, you guys see that? It's this really pretty, let me turn it this way. There we go. This really pretty peacock. I am going to be using China Blue for the ink that I'm going to stamp this letter with. So I decided to use China Blue just because the color of the peacock, just to kind of coordinate with that. So I'm going to take my ink pad, and then I'm going to take my, and I may already have some ink on it, but this is the decor ink, and let me test it out. I do have some ink on it, but you just take the ink and you just, add some onto your ink pad. And these inks come in a lot of different colors. I'm using the China Blue tonight, but if you're interested in some of those inks, you're welcome to go onto my website. There's quite a few colors, and I also have some of these ink pads available too. So I'm going to take the ink pad that I just loaded up, and I am going to just kind of dab it on to my letter. And the thing is that you want to try not to get the ink in any of the places that you don't want it to go, because when you put it down, it will come off in those places. But at the same time, you want to try to get a really good layer of ink on here so that the whole letter will at least be somewhat visible. Again, this is an old piece, so I don't mind if the letter actually looks old or not. Okay, so I've gotten my ink. I think I've gotten enough ink on here. I don't know if that makes a difference, if you guys can see that. And I actually kept, so when you get these stamps, they actually come on with this backing. And so I keep it on this backing because the stamps are flexible. And this gives me something to hold on to. So you want to keep it on the backing. Okay, so now I've got it all stamped down. And I'm just going to take it. I'm going to stand up because I want to I'm not going to put it all the way to the edge. I'm going to kind of try to even it on both sides. So what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of gauge where I want to put it. And then I'm just going to kind of drop it down. And once you get it down, you guys, you don't want to shift it, because that's going to distort your words or your image, whatever you're putting down. So once you get it down, you just kind of want to lightly rub across it. I always hold it with one hand so it won't shift. So I'm holding it with my left hand, and I'm actually rubbing with my right so that it doesn't shift. And again, you want to press firmly, but not really hard. So I'm just kind of rubbing back and forth with my fingers, trying to make sure I cover every part of the stamp. Okay, so now the tricky part too is lifting it up without actually distorting it. So here we go. All right, there we go. Can you guys see that? Let me see if I can move you up a little so you can see that. Does that show? There we go. I think you guys can see it a little bit right here. Can you see that's the letter? So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna stamp it again, and then I'm gonna put one on this side, so that I'll kind of have two. And you can see I left about this much space on each side. And I think probably what I'll do there is I'll probably put a transfer, maybe a flower or something like that on each end. So there's the letter. It came out really good, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stamp it again. And I probably now still have enough on my pad to that I don't have to fill it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my ink pad. And again, start stamping. I'm just kind of trying to be careful of the spaces where there's no words, because I don't want my ink to get in those spaces, because it will translate over to my desktop. So I just want the ink to be on the places where the words are. And occasionally you may have to, that's why I always keep on hand some baby wipes, because occasionally you will get it in spaces that you don't want it. And you just take a baby wipe and kind of, hey Rose, thank you. Just take a baby wipe and kind of wipe it out of the space that you don't want it to be. Okay. So again, I think I've gotten it in all the spaces that I want it to be in. And so I did get it in a couple places that I didn't want it to be in. I'm just going to kind of wipe it off with my finger. Okay. So again, so I've loaded it up again with the with the blue ink. I don't know if you guys can see that blue or not, but I've loaded it up with the ink pad again. And so now I'm going to do the other side. I'm just kind of trying to line it up to where I can get everything on here. I'm going to lay it down. And now that it's down, so I've dropped it down, and you don't want to move it now, because if you move it, it's going to shift your letters. So I'm just going to hold it down with my left hand while I just kind of lightly go over it without pushing, just enough to get an imprint of the ink over the letters. So now I'm going to switch so I can do the bottom. Holding it down with my right hand now and pressing with my left hand. Making sure that I run one of my hands across all of the letters. Because once you get this down here, I mean, if you missed a whole sentence or something, there would be no way to go back and drop it back down again. You would actually have to repaint it and do it all over again. Okay, so I think we got it. I think I've gone over every spot. So now I'm going to pick it up. And that's why you want to leave this backing on, because it gives you, and there we go. It came out really good. Because the backing gives you something to grab onto. So can you guys see that? So I've done one on this side and I've done one on that side. And so they're kind of, now I have kind of a full script. And so for these ends that I have left, I will probably do a little flower transfer or something like that to kind of fill these ends up. And I don't necessarily have to fill the ends up, but I'm kind of thinking that I probably want to. So I probably will do that. And again, these are the Iron Orchid Design stamps and decor inks, and they are just really fun to work with. So you guys, if you're interested in any of these products, just go to my website And everything on my website is, the shipping is included in the price. So go out and take a look, and maybe you can start your own project. So, and I keep these on hand because now the inks, I have to say the inks do take a little bit more time to dry, to me, than the paint does. So, once it's all dry, actually once the whole piece is dry, I'll seal it 2 coats of the matte polyacrylic, and then I will go back. Once I seal it, then I'll put the transfers on, because transfers really like slick surfaces. So I seal first, and then I put my transfers on. But for now, I'm just going to make sure that I clean up my my stamp to take. See that ink is coming off? So just to take the ink off, the leftover ink off. And then, I mean, you know, it's going to always keep some paint on here, but you're taking off the excess of what was left. And that's just so you can go back and dry it off and actually put it up, and it'll be ready for the next time you're ready to stamp. Okay, so yeah, so now my plans for the inside of this, you guys, is it's not in very bad shape, but there are some scratches, you know, where the wood is kind of scratched in different places. So my plan is to take some gel stain, just a little bit of gel stain. I'm gonna leave it the color that it is. And I'm just going to take a sock, put it on my hand, take a little bit of gel stain, and I'm going to touch up these little places inside here. And I'm going to actually leave it this burgundy color that it already is. And so I actually painted this little drawer in here. I thought that was just cute. I'm going to leave this edge here, this custom pink color. And for now, I'm just going to close that up. And so that is our Peacock Party Part 1, which actually did not include any peacocks, you guys. But we'll come back on next Wednesday for our next Train Wreck Wednesday, and we'll continue. And next Wednesday actually will be, the party will include peacocks. Not real peacocks, but peacocks. And so we're going to be decoupaging. Let me see. Let me get this over here where you can see it. Okay, there we go. We're actually going to be decoupaging this peacock on. And this is the Peacock Infirma. This is the Roycycle decoupage papers. And that was the inspiration for the colors on this piece. And so I'm going to decoupage. There's a left and a right peacock. And I'm going to decoupage one on each side. And then we are actually going to be doing, and for my very first time too, because I've never done this, we're going to be doing some raised stencils, just the feathers. So I'm going to use some, you guys see that's actual peacock. So I'm going to be using a little bit of the feathers off of this peacock, and maybe some of the feathers off of this stencil. These are both stencils. And we're going to do a couple raised peacock feather stencils. And then I have this little my critter cutout. It's the actual peacock, and you guys, you can flip him. So if you, for instance, if you wanted him to be facing this way, you could put him on this way. If you wanted him facing that way, you could put it on this way. And these are corrugated cardboard. They're made out of cardboard, and they are actually, the cardboard is actually pretty strong. You know, they're not really flimsy. So you can paint them. Now, of course, they are cardboard, so you don't want to put a lot of water on them. But isn't he cute? He's a peacock. So you can flip him this way, or you can flip him that way. Either way you want him. And you can paint them. Again, you can paint them. You can decoupage them. I think for him, I'm actually going to be decoupaging him You can stamp them. You can do a lot of different things, probably some things I haven't even thought of yet. But if you're interested in any of these critters, you can find them on my website, pecanporchboutique.com. So I think he's going to actually go. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to decoupage him with some of the leftover decoupage paper from the peacocks that we're going to put on the side. And I'm actually going to put him maybe right there. Kind of as a, I think he looks cute right there. And I don't know which way I'm going to face him, but I think I'm actually going to decoupage him with some of the leftover paper from the original peacock, because I'm not going to use all of him. I mean, I'm going to get the peacock in there, but if you see this paper, these papers are so nice, y'all. You can see how big it is. It's 20 by 30 sheet, and you can actually so I'm gonna basically be using the peacock part, but you can see there's a down here at the bottom it says Paris here, and there's a really pretty bird cage right here. Let's see, I'm trying to get it so it's like right here. So any pieces that are left over from this paper after I decoupage it on the side, my plan is to maybe decoupage this little fella here, and or Mrs., whichever. How do you tell if a peacock is it the females that have the really pretty plumes or the male? I don't know. Anyway, whichever gender this peacock is, I think I'm gonna use whatever some of what's left off of these papers to actually maybe put him right here in the center. So just to kind of give it some interest right here. I don't want to put him on the sides because when you pull down the desktop, these little sides come out to catch the desktop. So he needs to be in a place where he doesn't get smushed or crushed. So that's my plan for that. And some raised stenciling. So, I mean, this little serpentine disc, I wanted to go from plain. It was a pretty little disc anyway, but it had a lot of scratches and stuff like that. So I wanted to really be just kind of really a little bit, peacock fancy. So that's my goal. There's always a goal, you guys. Y'all know there's always a goal on Trainwreck Wednesday. So that's the goal for this little serpentine disc. So now, for those of you who joined my live, or even if you'll be watching my live later on, please make sure you share, comment, and like. And also, I'm going to be putting out a kind of a secret question for this piece. And if you answer it correctly, you will win a prize. So that's going to be coming up. I will post that with the live, or I'll post it over on my page. But I'll put the question out there, and for anybody that knows the answer, you too will get a prize. And again, shout out to Sonia Sutton, who was the prize winner from our last Trainwreck Wednesday. She named the little vanity that we did Trellis Rose. So we will also be naming this piece. So you may not can name it right now because I haven't quite finished, but start thinking about a name. And if you, if I choose the name that you give to this piece, then you too will win a prize. Okay? So I think that's it, you guys. So we did a little bit of blending tonight. We did some stamping. We're going to come back next week on Trainwreck Wednesday, and we're going to do part 2 of our peacock party, and we're actually going to have some peacocks at this party. They couldn't make it to this party, but they're going to make it to next week's party, hopefully. So, yeah, so thank you guys. I appreciate you guys joining me. I appreciate your support. And again, don't forget, jump over on my website, pecanporchboutique.com, and find some goodies for you to do your next project with. And until then, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate you joining. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.